She wants to stay friends with ex-hookups and guys she met on Tinder. Editext 2. I ended things, I feel pretty low. Felt like I was giving her an ultimatum that I knew the answer to already. Thank you everyone for your support. I truly appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without you guys. Thanks again. My girlfriend 26, F, and I 24, M, have been having a ton of issues as of recently and we have only been together 6 months. I'm afraid to say it's probably easier to just end it. I don't have anyone to talk to and I really need some insight on what I should do and maybe some alternative possibilities. Long shot I know. Here is some backstory. From the start, extremely sketchy with her phone, silences notifications, even turns them off so they don't even pop up on the screen. Whenever I'd grab her phone, to look at a menu or get a phone number or even answer it when a friend calls, she's right there hovering over me ready to try to grab it from me, like Satan himself possessed her body to get it back. Changed passcode, as if I even knew the first one, went from 4 digits to 6. Always puts it face down, will go on the phone and face the screen towards her and away from me. Then, she started chatting with some dude I oversaw on the phone. I couldn't tell you the context of it, but she mentions him here and there and how they have mutual friends that overlap. I didn't want to seem crazy and insecure because who wouldn't feel like that after reading the above? Come to find out asking the same question 3 times. This guy turns out to be a dude she met on Tinder a year ago, that she just wants to keep in touch with. Am I crazy or is that wrong? I'm old school and I'm a firm believer that if they don't hold value to me in my life, especially being in a relationship, they get cut out the second it becomes exclusive. My standard is to delete people out of my life if they don't plan on benefiting it or being a part of it. Why would I keep a girl from Tinder around? Because we have mutual friends. Just call your friends when you need something? Why go through him? Now listen, I'm insecure now. I came into this relationship content and happy and I feel as if it's a crumbling wall now and I don't feel safe and secure with the person I truly care about. I've tried and tried and tried to communicate properly and without arguing and she immediately becomes defensive and comes right at me, making me feel crazy and nuts for just wanting a little reassurance. Again, do I just throw in the towel? Edit. I would never take her phone and go through it. I would never take it from her. Anytime I've used the phone was with permission, extremely over-supervised permission, to do only what I told her I was going to do. I've never pushed that boundary and have always respected her privacy. What I was getting at is the way she handles it. And how overprotective she is of it. I would never push it, I would never snoop, I've never let that thought cross my mind. What I wanted was communication, to just be open enough and to give me that reassurance. The reassurance I wouldn't even fucking need if there wasn't anything sketchy in the first place. Fuck anyone who thinks this whole thing is a me problem. The only me problem about this is the fact I need people's approval to do something I should have done 8 weeks in on my own. The problem is that I needed people to talk to because I unfortunately don't have that outlet here where I live, especially being a male. Nobody seems to give a fuck about our mental health. If anyone, I mean anyone, needs to talk about anything. I may not have the best advice, I may not be able to even give you a definitive answer, but I will give you my ear. And I will never shame you for how you feel. Cool, 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 you can be friends when you're an ex too. Do I just throw in the towel? Yes. I only read the first few lines and said move on bro. She's just stringing you along until she finds somebody new so she doesn't have to be alone when it all goes down and somebody can reconcile her. I've been through it before and it sucks a lot, but you'll be better off without all this stress to worry about. Trust me, this only happened to me recently and I recently cut ties, but you'll be a happier man and be able to work on yourself and be the man you want to be. She wants attention from other guys. It is likely she is cheating on you now. If not, it is only a matter of time. Get out. Find someone whose values match yours. Honestly, sounds like she's cheating or at least being inappropriate. Definitely not worth it. 6 months in, you should have more trust and not this many issues. I'm old school. She's not. It's simple. Don't date someone you don't trust. You don't have to get to the bottom of whether or not your suspicions were correct or not, because that's not the actual problem. The problem is you feel like you can't trust them. That's all you gotta know. I think you already know what you need to do. Just do it. Better for your own mental health. Partner of 11 years cheated on me. I'd just like to start off by saying posting something like this is extremely difficult for me and I thank everyone on here that has the courage to post their stories. I don't like to put my business out there, but I don't have any friends or family I can talk to about this and I'm desperate for help. I'm not sure where to start, but anyways. We've been together for about 10 years. I am 25 and she's 26, but we for the most part lived together for since we were about 16–17. We moved out of our parents' homes almost immediately when we were 19–20. We bought our first house 2 years later, where we are now. We have no children but we have 6 cats, and yes, we are crazy and they are our children. Her family has become my family and I love them. Her parents were recently evicted from their home by her mother's father. That's an entire other story I can't get into, but he's an evil man who non-directly killed his wife. He didn't take care of her, and cut off the rest of the family and made a new one. So they had no options, nowhere to go, so we took them in and they've been living with us for almost a month now. It's been very hard on both of us. Obviously we love them and wouldn't let them live out on the streets, but it's still not ideal. We only have one bathroom and we don't have doors inside, so there's not much privacy. They have been looking at houses, but we got an idea of how about we get a new house and you guys can buy our house. It's a win-win because they wanted to stay in this area and we wanted to get a bigger house anyway. We just didn't think we'd be able to this soon, but we've been approved for a loan. Right around when they moved in, my girlfriend started going out with her friend a lot at night for several hours. Which I totally fine IDC if she goes out with her friend, that's a totally normal thing, but it really didn't sit right with me that I would never be invited. Her friend is also somewhat of a friend. We've known each other since we were children and we've hung out plenty of times together in the past. She would claim to be just out at the bar with her friend and her boyfriend, which I thought was weirder because why wouldn't I come too? Why would you want to be the third wheel every night? But I just let it go and thought if that's what she wants to do, okay. Last week she was downstairs talking to her parents while I was setting up dinner and I couldn't help but notice her phone unlocked sitting on the table. For some reason something in my head told me to look though it. I understand that's an invasion of privacy, but it's something she would have no problem doing to me. She knows all my passwords and can look at anything I have at any time. I have nothing to hide, so I don't really care. But all did was open her message and she was literally just texting someone about how they just had sex and that she enjoyed it even though he didn't get her off, and she goes on to say, we just need to spend time together and you'll learn how to get me off. She was sending him pictures of our cats, her tattoos and our sex toys, etc. How can she want to move into a new home together but also be talking to this man and cheating on me? She wouldn't be able to get a new home without me, and I feel like I have the entire family's future on my shoulders. I'm scared to say something because it's going to be the end of everything most likely, and despite all of this I think I could forgive her, but she'd have to telephone me the truth and tell me why. All I want is for both of us to be happy. I could keep going on, but I feel I may be rambling. I think that's enough of the story. Can anyone please offer any insight or advice? Thank you. I would start by preparing your finances and protect yourself first. There must have been more signs you have seen to lead you to investigate further. Just because this relationship is all that no doesn't mean you have to be trapped. I would avoid getting into any major loan such as a new house with this person. This most likely isn't the first time they cheated and it won't be the last. You are not married and don't have any children, besides the cats. I don't think you should be buying a house with her. Maybe it's a good time to talk to a lawyer. I'm scared to say something because it's going to be the end of everything most likely, and despite all of this I think I could forgive her, but she'd have to telephone me the truth and tell me why. Closing parenthesis. People like you always lose everything in the end. You are too soft and sweet. You will pay full price for your kindness. Set yourself up financially and y'all have no kids and aren't married. End it. She's gonna do it again if she hasn't done it already. Pick your favorite 3 cats and leave. I feel like I have the entire family's future on my shoulders. Not anymore. You can't keep this in. There has to be a confrontation. Your world is about to get much more complicated. It's time to stop worrying about other people's lives and start prioritizing your best interests because nobody else will be. I'm truly sorry you're going through this. Many of us have been there. I'm really sorry this is happening to you. You seem like a nice guy. You may be able to forgive her and continue on in your relationship, but you'd be doing so at your own peril. You've been with this woman for 10 years. Her family is dependent upon you financially, and after all of that she's still willing to cheat on you. If someone will cheat on you in those circumstances, they'll do it again. Even if she doesn't, you'll always wonder if she's cheating on you or when she will again. Her family and their housing situation are not your responsibilities. Don't put yourself through torture for a girl, and her family, that can't even stay faithful to you. Yeah, let's say nothing, support her parents, and she can fuck random people. That's a good plan. I bet she is thinking about sucking his cock right now, and here you are trying to make life easier for her to do that. My 28M girlfriend, 28F, got mad when I asked about a new guy friend. My girlfriend and I recently moved to a new city and for the most part it's been amazing. Neither of us know anyone, so we've both been accommodating in the other establishing their own life along with ours. After picking her up from the airport, on Monday, after a weekend away, a text popped up on the GPS from a guy the first didn't recognize. We've both been excited to share new friends and events with each other, so this kind of threw me off. It was bugging me a bit, so the next day I checked out his Instagram and he plays guitar in a local punk band. Rather than letting it stew, I decided to say something last night in a respectful and non-accusatory manner because I really just wanted to know who he was. I didn't hear back until about midnight when I received a very brief text saying he's a friend she met out one night and they go to trivia together. The only other conversation we had were brief messages from her clearly mad. Before the move, we would go to trivia regularly in our old city. I didn't even know she found a place around here for it, or that she was going. Let alone regularly with this random guy. And it turns out she was actually there with him last night again, when I haven't even seen her since she's been back. I don't know exactly what to do or how to handle this situation because I didn't expect it to turn into an issue. She's always had a lot of guy friends and it's never been a problem, but this feels different. Appreciate any and all advice. Update. I can't help but dejectedly laugh that this post has gotten more interaction than any of my posts on my actual account. To those who left thought-out messages, thank you. And to those who called me a side piece, thank you as well. If you can't laugh at yourself in your darkest hour, when can you? But we were able to speak a bit earlier today, and wanted to provide you all an update. I'll start by saying we haven't broken up yet, but we're only able to talk briefly. I asked more about this guy, what's going on and why the secrecy. I continued to get brief, annoyed answers, in person, about how he's just a guy she met and she's unsure why I'm worried about it at all. When I tried to explain all the signs that were clearly red flags, she turned it on me and told me I was being overbearing and that she felt like she was backed against a wall. After more back and forth, she did ask how she could fix this because it seemed to bother me, but wasn't sure what would help. Part of me wanted to give an ultimatum, but if it came to that, what's the point? I asked if we could establish some type of ground rules, but it was not well received and she turned it back on me. Asking why I felt this was so personal and that I'm just overreacting. Rather than bursting out, I ended the conversation and said we'd talk tonight. I'll provide another update after. Thank you all again for the advice, laughs and kind messages. Final update: I went over to her place last night with the intent of finishing the conversation, whatever that meant. When I got there her demeanor was no longer angry, but she seemed very upset and confused as to why I was so upset. I immediately noticed 2 wine glasses in the sink, and asked if those were from Tuesday night with this guy. She said very matter-of-factly yes, he came over and they had a few drinks before trivia. I said I'm done, not to contact me, and walked out. There was so much more I wanted to say, but needed to get out of there. Wanted to post this last night, but obviously was not in the best headspace, so I apologize to those waiting for the delay. It's over. Thank you all for your help and a happy holiday season to you and your loved ones. You did the right thing. That does sound fishy. Everything you wrote in the last 2 paragraphs should be expressed to her. If she gets defensive and angry, then something is probably up. Go with your gut. If something seems off, it probably is. Honestly, her having a male friend is not a problem except 1. She never mentioned it. 2. Never even mentioned trivia. 3. Got defensive when you brought it up. IDK. This doesn't sound right to me. Nah, that's a wrap, dude. Trust your gut. Why so long after the question did the reason appear? Just the way you wrote this screams hurt by infidelity. Fuck that shit, dude. They're going on dates, trivia. She tried to keep him secret, and she got defensive when asked. Even if it's not physical, there's definitely something going on there. If nothing else, they're going on dates in secret. Quit bothering that guy's girlfriend. She's not your girlfriend anymore. Sorry. Bro, she's cheating on her new boyfriend with you. Lol, no, for real, one of you is the side piece. You mean his girlfriend. I slapped my STB ex-wife and feel horrible about it. Backstory is in my profile, but I'll recap a little. I'm 48, my wife is 44 and we have 2 daughters 23 and 17. My wife had an affair and was the one to verbally abuse me throughout our marriage. I had PTSD and anger management issues due to being in Army for several years, but I never raised my voice or my hand at my wife or my daughters. I filed for divorce and my near ex-wife came to visit our daughters. I allowed it because they needed to see their mom regardless of what she did. When I dropped home, she and I got into an argument about how wrong was I and that she should have custody of our daughters. They're both grown-ups. I told her they can choose whoever they want to spend their time with as they're adults now. At one point, these shouting and argument got intense and she took a small flower vase and tried to hit me with it. I defensively maneuvered and slapped her. It wasn't my intention, it just happened. The slap was quite hard and she fell. Slap marks were visible as it was with force and it made her cheeks red. I apologized to her and she told me she would get women's rights groups involved to tell them I abused her, which is why she had an affair. Basically twisting the story. My daughter took my side and asked her to leave. She tried to call the police, but I told her if she did, I'll be putting her at restriction. I have friends in the department who can help me out in these cases. But regardless of that, I feel extremely bad that I slapped her. She lost one tooth and was bleeding a bit. She left my house soon after my daughters helped her and no authorities or women's groups were called. My daughters say she's a horrible person and I only acted in self-defense. I don't feel the same way. I feel horrible. Also, my eldest, 23, lives in a other city and visits us on weekends, while I own a business and stay out all day. My youngest daughter is 17 and I fear for her safety if her mother drops by again. Our divorce proceedings has been slow because she was late to get her own lawyer. Also counter offers which included she will let me go financially if I surrender custody of my daughters, the irony. But hopefully if things go well, I'll be divorced by the end of this month or the beginning of next year. Edit. For those who think I overreacted. Yes I did. She tried to smash me right across my face, which could have bruised my face, so I acted in self-defense and hit her. I slapped her hard enough because it was clearly in the heat of moment. I lost control of myself. I never raised hand on her before. I work out, gym and kept my body tight, which is why it knocked her tooth out. If you are still gonna blame everything on me. Sure, go on. I only threatened her after she threatened me to call women's right, and trust me when I say that clearly would have ruined my reputation, revoked my honorary discharge, revoked my trading rights and destroyed my life. She assaulted you and tried hitting you with a vase and you slapped her to end it. Sounds like self-defense to me. Good luck with the divorce process and I suggest you talk to a professional to help you work through the abuse. That's one hell of a slap. You had me in the first half. But you knocked out her tooth? You're gonna have your cop buddies handle her? This post is missing info. You aren't gonna slide in a mention of PTSD as an afterthought and expect us to think this isn't all connected. Is she delusional? What custody? Of the 17-year-old, who, whilst not an adult, can still pretty much be wherever she wants, until she is an adult and under a year? Seems like a weak-ass deal for her. As for the slapping, I'll never condone hitting a woman, however, it definitely sounds like self-defense, though losing a tooth, bleeding and falling down sounds a lot more than a slap. Just make sure if police are called, daughters are up for telling your side. I was with you until you said she lost a tooth from a slap that was intended as self-defense. I find that difficult to reconcile. You need to never be around each other again. Your kids are adults and there's simply no need for you to interact. You also need to look into therapy for managing your anger. The thing is, I thought it was self-defense and was readily in your corner until you threatened her how your friends in the police force will help you out in this case. That kind of made me feel funny. So if you did hit her not out of self-defense, and she reported you, your buddies at the police force will back you up? IDK what to think right now. Self-defense, but is this how you get yourself out of trouble? By tapping into your connections at the police force? How disgusting. That's why police have bad reputations, because they hide and threaten and abuse their power in cahoots with your kind of friends. You don't lose a tooth from a slap. Something in this story does not add up.